Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to this live buttercream masterclass. I'm just going to give it a couple of minutes for anyone else who's going to be joining us to join us in this masterclass. If you are new to Dr. Mori Cake's channel, welcome. Dr. Mori Cake's channel is for you if you've always wanted to learn how to make cakes, how to decorate cakes, and you're a beginner. That is what my channel is all about, helping you make amazing cakes. I make my tutorials really easy to understand so that you can follow it. So even if you've never made a cake before, never decorated a cake before, with my tutorials, you'll be able to learn all the skills and all the steps that you need to make an amazing cake. So if you are new here, welcome. I hope that you'll join my tribe of home bakers around the world making amazing cakes. Do subscribe to the channel. I post videos every week, not weeks. I post a video every week and also lots of useful videos on my YouTube Shorts. So these videos will be really helpful in helping you make amazing cakes. So that's the first thing to say. Make sure that you subscribe to my channel. I try as much as possible. I try as much as possible to do lives such as this. So these are other useful tools for you in learning how to bake. If you do have any questions or any comments or anything that you've always wanted to know, you can drop it into the comment section and I'll make sure that I answer those comments when I see them. It'll be also useful to know where you're watching from. I'm always quite intrigued to see where most of my viewers are. So do let me know where you're watching from. So we're live and we're just going to give it a couple more minutes before we get started. So let me just start getting all the things that we need together. Um, Okay, so we are going to be making American buttercream, and also I'm going to be showing you how to get the best out of your American buttercream. You'll learn how to get the right consistency for your cake decorating, and you'll be interested to know that actually you want to have different consistency for your buttercream for different times. So, for example, you'll see that the consistency that you want for the buttercream that you use to fill in between your cake layers is different from the consistency that you're after to decorate the outside of your cake. And certainly, if you want to be doing buttercream piping, then you want to have a different consistency. So, I will show you how to achieve different consistency. I'm also going to show you how to color your buttercream. First of all, I'll show you how to make white buttercream because actually buttercream always has a yellowish tinge and that's because of the color of butter. So if you want to get brilliant white color buttercream, you have to do some certain things to get it really nice and white. So I'll show you that. And at the end, we'll actually decorate the cake so that you can actually see how the process works so that when you are decorating your cakes at home, you know exactly what to do. So, American buttercream is one of the easiest buttercreams to make. It's made with basically two ingredients. You want to use your butter and sugar. So, you want to use icing sugar. Now, unlike other cake recipes where you are okay to substitute one ingredient for another, with buttercream, American buttercream, I don't think you can really substitute. If you're substituting for other things, then you're not going to really make buttercream. Certainly, I wouldn't advise that you substitute for margarine. I would say make sure that you use butter. Now, you have two options. If you look in your supermarket store, you can see that there's two different types of butter. There's unsalted butter and there is salted butter. Before, I would have said use unsalted butter, but actually, I tried using salted butter and it's a game changer. The addition of salt in salted butter cuts through the sweetness, so that makes the American buttercream less sweet. So I quite like using salted buttercream. But you can also use unsalted buttercream, that works well. So you use that and then you use icing sugar. So icing sugar is really fine powdered sugar. So you get the right consistency. You can't substitute with caster sugar or white sugar or any type of sugar. It's got to be icing sugar. And basically, that's the two ingredients that you need. Of course, if you want to then add flavor, you can then add other things to get different types of buttercream. So, for example, if you're using unsalted butter like we are going to be using, and you want something to cut through that sweetness, you can add a pinch of salt. That will make it less sweet, or you can add a little bit of acid, like just a splash of lemon juice. That will also cut through the sweetness. So those are the two things that you can do. Then, of course, you can make just about any different flavoring under the sun. So I will actually show you how to flavor your buttercream. We're going to be using caramel to make caramel buttercream. And that's part of the reason why I'm using the unsalted butter, because my caramel is actually salted caramel. So I don't want too much salt in it. So we're going to get started, but let me just have a look and see if there's any questions or things. So I'll be back in 2 ticks. Okay, so the first thing that you want to do is you want to whip your butter. Actually, no, let's talk about the ratio. So, how do you know what to do? The ratio for American buttercream is 2 parts icing sugar to 1 part of butter. And this is the ratio that you should bear in mind. So for whatever quantity of buttercream that you want to make, it's 2 parts of icing sugar, 1 part of butter. And I quite like making American buttercream because actually with that ratio, I don't even have to get my weighing scale out. Because, for example, this butter is 250 grams. 250 grams. So if I use 250 grams of butter, I'm going to need twice as much icing sugar. So I'm going to need 500 grams of icing sugar. These 2 packs make 1 gram of, not 1 gram, this two makes, sorry, I'm a bit nervous. This is only my second live, so bear with me. So these two, 250, 250 is 500 grams of butter. And this whole pack is 1 gram. So I'm going to use all of that, 2 to 1. 500 grams, 1 gram. Just plonk that in there. So you can see what I'm saying about the color of butter. I don't know if you've ever looked at butter and looked at the color. It's actually a yellow color. So that's why buttercream, when it's made, actually looks yellow. So one way that you can start off trying to get a nice white color is to really whip up your buttercream until it's fluffy and until it's white. It's also important your butter should be at room temperature so that it's nicely combined. If you try and use cold butter or butter that's not come to room temperature, because part of the butter will still be hard, it won't whip up very well, and you'll have clumps of solid butter in your mixture, which is not nice to eat, and it's not nice when you're decorating. So on that, and then we're just going to just go on high speed. So I'll set that aside. Hopefully that you can still hear me. So while that is whipping, let me talk you through the coloring. So how do you color buttercream, and how do you get the right consistency when you're coloring? So there are different food colorings. I would recommend that you do not, as in do not use liquid food coloring for buttercream. One, because the color intensity of liquid buttercream is very light, so you're not going to get really vibrant color, and you're going to end up using quite a lot of liquid, which will change your consistency of your buttercream. So if you really want to get the vibrant, bright color, you either use gel food coloring or powdered food coloring. So this is an example of a gel food coloring. They come in tubes like this, or sometimes they come in jars like that. So with gel food coloring, you'll get vibrant color, and also it won't ruin your texture. Or you can use powdered food coloring. It's not quite common to use powdered. I've only started trying this out. So that's another alternative. This is actually white food coloring, and this is my preferred method of making white buttercream. This is the problem with food coloring, always stains your hand. So we said that if you want to get the white color of the food color of your buttercream, you want to whip it up nicely until it's nice and pale. You can also actually buy a butter that is lighter in color than the average. So in the UK where I live, Lurpak butter is actually much paler in color than regular buttercream. So if I really want to get really white color, then I will buy Lurpak. It's a little bit more expensive than regular butter, but that's one way. And then when you whip it up, I'm talking about 5 to 10 minutes, the butter will be as pale as possible, and then you don't have to work too hard to get it even whiter. Other way is to add white food coloring, because again, that lightens it up. A third way is to add a very tiny amount of purple food coloring, as in a teeny tiny drop. The whole idea is to do with color theory. The purple cancels out the yellow color and makes it white. This is my least favorite method. I don't think I've ever really got it to work, because trying to put the right amount of purple is a bit tricky. And I find out that I always put a little bit too much, and then I don't have the right color. It's more purple lilac than actual white. But those are the three ways that you can try. So here is what the buttercream is starting to look like. But it's not quite ready, but it's good to stop in between. Let's bring that here. And just scrape your bowl down. So if you start to see, you can see here that it's changing. Here, that's still bits that's not whipped properly, is more the original yellow of buttercream. And then you can see here, it's starting to be a little bit paler. So that's what you want to be doing. So we're just going to leave that. And we're going to leave it to whip up for even longer, another 5 minutes or so. So yeah, so that's with coloring. The other thing is when it comes to flavoring your buttercream, there are many different ways that you can do that. You can do that with food flavoring. Now, I'm a big fan of more natural flavoring. I don't like to use synthetic flavoring. I try to stick with good quality flavoring if I can. So, vanilla is a commonest flavoring for cakes and baked goods. So, you can use vanilla flavoring either in vanilla bean paste, which I wouldn't recommend because vanilla bean paste, you can see the specks of vanilla, and it's not a good look in your finished product. So perhaps we give that a skip. Or you can use vanilla extracts or other things like this is almond extract, vanilla extract, coffee, coffee extract. So these sort of things to flavor your cake. You can also flavor with other things. Then the key thing when you're flavoring your buttercream is to be mindful that whatever you add to your buttercream will change the consistency. So you want to try and add something that hasn't got too much liquid. Because if you have something that has too much liquid, too much moisture, when you add it to your buttercream, it can make your buttercream really, really thin and runny, and then it might be very difficult or sometimes even impossible to decorate your cakes with. So this is caramel, which I've melted and allowed to cool. So we're going to use that in part of our buttercream. You can also flavor your buttercream with like fruit puree. If you're using fruit puree, you want to reduce it. So, put it on the stove and let all the water evaporate, and then you can use that to flavor your buttercream. The other thing that you can do is get freeze-dried fruits. So you add that into there. You can flavor your buttercream with things like nuts. If you ground nuts into powder, then you can use that to flavor your buttercream as well. So there's a lot of different ways that you can flavor your buttercream. You can use chocolate. So if you want to make chocolate buttercream, you can either add cocoa powder to the buttercream directly, or for a more luxurious chocolate buttercream, you can add melted chocolate. Let me just show you. see that? That is not buttercream. This is whipped butter. One second, I want to take a picture. This is whipped butter. This is whipped butter. So you can see how it looks nice and pale. So that's what you want your butter to look like. And you can see it's much lighter in color than the yellow color we started off with. So that's what you want to be after before you add your icing sugar. Nice, pale, and soft. There we are. Let's scrape that. Okay. I don't know if I mentioned earlier, if you're going to do your buttercream, you can see that I'm using the paddle of my mixer, not the whisk. The reason I use the paddle is if you use the whisk is good for really making your mixture aerated. So if you want to incorporate a lot of air into your mixture, you should use a whisk. But actually, you don't want to incorporate air into your buttercream. Too much air in your buttercream creates bubbles, and bubbles in your buttercream when you're smoothing the cake with it, it's you'll see the air bubbles. It's going to ruin your nice smooth finishing. So you don't want to incorporate air. You just want to mix it. Yes, you will incorporate some air with the mixing process, but you don't want excessive air. Okay, so now we're going to add the icing sugar. This is my least favorite thing about making American buttercream because it's the dust cloud, but hey ho, nothing that you can do about it. And that's one reason why I like to do it in ratio. So I don't even want to have to be measuring it and making more dust cloud. I just want to be able to pour it straight away. So that's why I either buy a 1 kilogram of the sugar or 500 grams. So you just dump it into here and you can see what I mean by the dust cloud. Ugh. It looks cool, like you're doing some sort of experiment, but uh, not nice. Okay, so it's all gone. Let's just chuck that in the bin. Now, when you're mixing this, you excuse me, let's get rid of that dust cloud. Right, let me just check and see what's going on in the comment section. Back in a second. Let's just have a look and see if there's any questions going on.